Okay, welcome to this week's episode of Bruffy's Rugby Offload, the home of West Asia rugby stories. Big hits, big personalities, sometimes big feelings.
Yeah.
Today we've got a belter, a man who dominates lineouts, bulldozes breakdowns, crunches numbers in the financial world by day, and now changes nappies like a seasoned pro. Northern Irish engine room, Dubai Dragons second row menace, a new girl dad, and the founder of the Buoys Club, with the men's mental health group built on one simple truth: mates don't let mates sink.
Yeah.
It's Johnny Harris in the house. So welcome, Johnny.
Yeah, thanks, mate. It's good to be here.
Dan left it all on the side. Harlequins cut quick blades through the field by rain lads solid like shields they wield. Shaheen saw high touch the Arabian sky. But
Did I get that? Mates don't let mates sink, or is it
Yeah.
the slogans?
All
All right.
All good. Yeah. Refuse to sink as well. Yeah. I love
Yeah.
it.
Because I was like, should we stay afloat? I knew it was something to do with it, but it is a good cause and we love it. All right, so we're going to get straight into the chat. We'll talk a little bit about you first. So start with the important question. How's the body holding up this season?
I don't know. You said that about the lineouts. I'm not sure if I'm getting off the ground much. I'm definitely need to lose a bit of weight, I think. The guys are definitely reminding me of that anyway. But no, yeah, good. Last year, I had a terrible year of injuries. So at one stage, I had like all my fingers taped up. So yeah, no, it's good. So far, so good. No injuries, touch wood.
Yeah.
So all good.
And the Dragons have had a couple of big performances this year. What's the energy like in the pack?
Yeah, I suppose Dragons, it's an interesting year every year. You know, we always tend to try and keep the same core group, but we always have a lot of new faces. So I think every season that I've been there, it takes us a while to kind of get to Christmas, sort of suss things out. We're stereotypically a very good team, you know, in the last quarter of the season. So listen, we've had a good season. We've had some very close results. It's a weird league. Everyone can beat everyone this year. But listen, there's a good vibe there. The boys had a big social in Ocean Beach in Dubai, which was good. That's what we're known for, being really sociable. So yeah, I missed that one. You already mentioned it. I had nappies to change, but yeah, energy's good. It's been a decent start to the season. Yeah, I think everyone's really high.
Now, you've had a bit of a change of leadership as well, captains. You've got co-captains with Big Clark Smith, and I know it's not Lewis Pascoe, it's Tom Pascoe, but I like to call him Louis, and I still have no reason why. Co-captains, who is the calm one of those two?
Oh, definitely. Well, I was going to say initially Pascoe without doubt, but Clark, he's not uncalm. He's got a calm head on him. But I'd say if you have to pick, you say Pascoe's definitely kind of the calm, leading by example, leading by performance. Pascoe's just an unbelievable bloke, great rugby player. And then Clark, I think, brings a lot of energy, and and then we've got a lot of other leaders in the team as well. But yeah, definitely calm. I'd say Pascoe over Clark.
Nice. Now, you're juggling rugby, finance, being a brand new girl dad, and the Buoys Club. Be honest, does rocking a baby at 3 a.m. count as conditioning work?
I don't know. I was saying that Marek, actually, I was on our coach. I was on the physio table and had a real tight right glute, and he was asking me how are you feeling, Lily, my daughter, and he says that he believes that the midnight feeds are actually attributing towards sort of tightness in my right side. I'm not too sure how true that is, but yeah, I think we're 3 months in. Baby Lily's been here for 3 months, so I feel like we're coming out the other side. But yeah, I think it's the only conditioning work I'm finding time for anyway.
Yeah, no, finding the time with the new kid is a whole different ball game. And you've also been huge in helping the Dragons youth set up all the growth that you've done there. We were talking off camera earlier that it's a massive job. So how did you get pulled into that, and what's it looking like today?
Yeah, I think like junior Dragons, by trade, I was always kind of a sports coach teacher initially. My family worked in finance, and I was kind of always trying to avoid that career. And then the opportunity to take the role of Dragons have got a great senior setup. A lot of men. We're a club that can put out 3 teams, on a Saturday in 3 different locations. I'm not too sure how many other clubs can do that. But the mini and youth was always a bit sporadic, a bit smaller. So 3 years ago, the opportunity came available to take it on and to take on junior Dragons. I think we had 29 children at the time, or 29 registered children that season. Now we've got about 300 netball and rugby, and it's been an unbelievable learning curve. I think from a personal perspective, business, community. So it's been a journey. We're getting towards the end of it now, and we've got a new chapter coming with some really, really amazing parents and coaches involved. It's a massively rewarding position to have and privilege. Yeah.
No, keep going. Sorry, I apologise. All right. No, and it's good. Now I have this idea about youth rugby and I haven't told you anything about it previously, but like in Australia, I don't know if it's the same in Northern Ireland or the UK. We do a lot of rep footy. So, for example, like the Abu Dhabi squads, maybe Abu Dhabi. I know there's the Small Blacks, possibly even the Dragons. You would pick like a best 15 from that age group, and then go against maybe like a Dubai Exile, like and have the best kids going against each other. I think we're missing that kind of next step. And I know money and things all play into that and time. And what are your thoughts on that?
I think, well, like my biggest criticism, I think, would be of kind of, club, in terms of somebody who's in a position where I lead a rugby club on a junior level. I think not enough clubs are working together. Kylie from Warriors, I've got the most unbelievable relationship with Kylie and Warriors, and so easy to deal with. And we do a lot of great things together. I would love to replicate that relationship with all clubs. But to your point, I think, if you really look at talk about the UK, Ireland, Australia, what I always kind of ask people the question, what was your experience like in your country, your home country at 13, 14, 15, 16? And if you compare it to here, young rugby players, young girls and young boys are playing less 15-a-side rugby than their home countries.
Yeah.
They're getting, their season is not aligned. Development players are sort of stay development because they're labelled that, where that doesn't tend to happen in other countries. And then kind of our players who want to go on and have a career in rugby haven't really got a pathway to do that. So I think, to your point, I think that definitely, I think there could be, you've talked about, your point's all about collaboration and all about clubs working together. It's about, players playing at a level where they're getting stretched and challenged. And I would kind of lock horns on that and say, well, it doesn't have to be just the talented players. It can be the children who at the minute have got a lower rugby ability. So yeah, I think more can be done. I think the simple thing is that young boys and girls in the UAE need to play more rugby, more 15-a-side rugby, have a longer season and play different clubs.
Yeah.
So yeah, if ideas like yours make that happen, then let's roll with it. Let's do it. I know like our team at Dragons would be keen for that. So I think just anything which is going to the players can just play more consistent rugby. I think that's the biggest difference. Like, if I asked you a question, when you went to school, how many games when you were 14 years of age, how many games of rugby did you play in 1 week?
0, because I never played rugby growing up.
Okay.
But no. But I played football and basketball, and I was playing basketball every week.
But if I use as an example, I played one game during the week in our game session, one game on a Saturday. If you're lucky, you might get to play for a club. So, let's say on average you play 2 a week, you've got 30 weeks of rugby. Yeah. Like, you've got young people who are playing anything between like 35 and 60 games of rugby. Some young people in the UAE, and that's 15 aside, some people might not even play 30 games of 15 aside in their life in the UAE.
Yeah.
So if you think about that and you wonder why, players are struggling in that capacity, it makes sense.
Because for me, the rep kind of stuff is that looking at those good youths and whether they stay in the UAE or not, because obviously university elsewhere is a big pool and stuff like that. But then, the talent's there. If they go off and play elsewhere, they can come back and play for the UAE and stuff like that later if they're qualified. So it's kind of, I feel like it all builds towards trying to make the UAE rugby team better as well.
Yeah, I agree. I think, funny enough, at Dragons, we are launching a rugby academy next term. It's going to be, again, why are we doing it? It's going to be a Just Rugby DXB academy. The idea is that we have small group sizes, 1 to 10, 1 to 12 maximum. The idea is that, Dragons, as a junior club, are, we're non-for-profit, we're community, we're parent-focused, like the costs are low. When we work out the prices, it's all about just covering the costs. And that's brilliant. It creates this non-for-profit ecosystem. But then what happens is that you've got the young players who really have got high aspirations for rugby. They love rugby, and they don't really get that kind of elite pathway, which you need. So we're bringing that in next term for Dragons. It's going to be a separate session to try and run both. But, anything you do in junior rugby in the UAE is difficult because you've got businesses, you've got non-for-profits, which run like a business but want to make a profit. So it's a difficult landscape.
All right. Is there any young players in the setup at the moment who've shocked you? Like, think kids who you go, oh, that kid's going to be good. Is there any key ones, or probably safe to not name them at this time as well? Maybe
Yeah,
just
I think like on that, I would say there's a lot of like athletic talent in the UAE.
Yeah.
It goes back to my earlier point on, these young players don't get enough full minutes, and I think their rugby IQ, their understanding of rugby is lacking a little bit, and I think their technical skills, athletic ability are amazing, but that's why I was down at the DC sevens, and like just looking at so many athletes, so many athletic children, and it'd be interesting to see where some of these names go in the future. I know universities, American universities are looking here now, right?
yeah.
For players. Let's see what happens. But I mean, I wouldn't name any names right now. I mean, there's a couple of Dragons children who I think they've got something about them. I think they could go far. So let's see what happens.
Yeah. All right, we're going to move away from the rugby part for the moment. For now, we're going to dive into something I think is massive, and being the month that we are, the Buoys Club. So a lot of guys say someone should do something, but you're actually building something. What sparked it?
Yeah, the Buoys Club is a passion project of mine, which has been on the radar for a long time. It's all based around a story behind my dad. Yeah, the Buoys Club, or water buoy. I don't know how you pronounce it.
Buoy. Yeah.
Buoy. So, yeah, it's a story all around my dad and around his mental health story. I mean, my dad worked in the police in Northern Ireland. He was diagnosed with complex PTSD, had a real struggle. He went through, a life experience where, he was impacted with his mental health, drove him to, an attempted suicide. Luckily, his life was saved. Complete miracle. A paddleboarder found him at night and rescued his life. And I think, so I had a personal lived experience with my father, who I'm immensely close with. And then it was like someone got a hand grenade and just threw it into my family. We know each other really well, and I'm a relatively outgoing, positive person, relatively resilient. And I think for the first time in my life, it was a proper challenge. And I kind of, so my story and kind of the message behind the Buoys Club was that I went to shoulders back, chest out, time to be there for my family. And I think 12 months on, I was really struggling, and I didn't realize. Always keep myself busy.
Yeah.
If people said, "Do you want to come and play touch rugby on a Monday?" I'll be there. Do you want to go to brunch? Yeah, I'm going. Because just wanted to live life at 1,000 miles an hour, and just didn't realize that I was out of control of my mental fitness. So I think we'll dive deeper into it as we go on through the conversation. But what drives the Buoys Club? A personal experience, and I believe like what the Buoys Club is the winning formula to try and help men and try and educate men and talk about mental health compared to mental fitness, which I think are two very big things for men.
Yeah, and then obviously we had a mutual friend who probably could have used it a couple of years ago, as well. So from Sharjah, so those type of things. So no, it's super important. Now the slogan, I think mates don't let mates sink. Where did it come from, and what does it really mean to you?
Yeah, so I mean, again, we talk about men's suicide, we talk about men's mental health, and I'm a big believer in that. Men need to be better at educating themselves on mental fitness. They need to be better at talking about how they feel. Letting their guard down, being a little bit vulnerable, and sharing. And so in my personal experience, my dad, who was really close to me, and he had a massive life-changing experience. I think I reached a low point here in Dubai. I reached a point where, for the first time in my life, I was really struggling with my mental fitness, and I didn't know what to do. And in that moment, it made sense what happened to my dad. That very typical scenario. I was a man. I didn't have the tools to deal with things, and I was out of control. And I think at that time, I reached out to some charities here, charities in the UK and Ireland wouldn't speak to me because I wasn't a resident. Reached out to some of the paid clinics or whatnot here. I thought, God, I can't afford that at the time. Or if I need 10 appointments, like, can I get that? And I just had this feeling of being really alone. And I realized that this is what my dad went through. Like, he was by himself fighting this, these feelings, thoughts, like this challenges of life. And I just realized that actually men's mental fitness is about asking people like, how are you dealing with life's challenges? And the one thing which I'm not okay with, and the one thing which, I don't care who you are, is that I don't want anyone to be alone. I think when men are alone and facing their own battles, I'm just not okay with it. And I want to grab someone. So I think refuse to sink, or don't let your mate sink. It's about not just asking people questions or being there for people. Is actually, physically educating yourself on how you can help people and making sure that people aren't going through life's challenges by themselves. And that's really what it's all about.
Yeah, and it is absolutely crucial. We've all gone through stages now. Living in Dubai, being away from family, pressure to have everything sorted. What do you think the biggest struggles out here are for, especially men, that we just don't talk about enough?
I just think, for example, if you face a challenge in your life, and I know you're struggling, touch wood, that's not going to happen, but the first question that stereotypically you get asked is, are you okay? And you'll probably say, yeah, I'm all right. But people don't actually understand that the questions you need to ask, or you should ask, are, what are you doing to deal with this challenge?
Yeah.
And, I've tried, for me personally, I didn't drink when I went through that, or tried journaling, or, I tried to go to the gym. So if you try doing that, and if you ask someone the question, what are you doing to deal with it? All of a sudden guys go, oh, what? I don't know. So I think, firstly, like guys just don't know what to ask or how to be there for each other, and that's the first point. I think then in other parts of the world you do have charities or free ways you can access help, and I think that's what I realized with the Buoys Club, was that there's not really like a free place where either you can go feel heard or whatnot. And I looked at a lot of the men's mental health groups around Dubai, and again, I just felt like it was like, you'd go to a group, but it was, you do like a gym workout, shirts off, carry the boats, brilliant. Or it was like, go and have circle time. And there just wasn't something there. So I realized that actually men just need a place where they can go listen to experts speak, people share stories, and then they can take what they want, leave what they need, and then they can do some sort of event afterwards. So I think that I just realized, to your point, to your question, like those things just don't exist in the UAE, and they're not readily available. And so I think it was about, for me, it was just like I realized in my lived experience that I didn't have access to these things. Stigma, money, cost, life, it's highly paced here. I think, in Dubai as well, you assume that your friendships here aren't the same as back home. People don't necessarily, life's so fast paced. So I think there's a few different variables and there's different things coming to mind, but I think that's probably.
Now, being a new dad as well, how has that changed your outlook on men's mental health? Not just your own, but like as the new stem of problems, and often the guilt and stuff like that as well. Like, especially with the rugby and everything else happening, I think it's a big one.
Super question. I think like becoming a dad is, you always like, I remember I was like voice messaging you in the lead up, and I think you were like, definitely buy baby grows with zips, and I like that is very good advice. But I think when you become a dad, like, Lily has been the most amazing thing ever. Your whole perspective just changes on life. I think before kind of being a dad, work, changing careers, trying to build businesses or whatever, my mindset was always build something. So work hard, do a lot of graft, and you'll become a good dad. But you realize actually, when you become a dad, the most important thing is making sure that you are fighting fit and that you're mentally where you need to be and physically where you need to be. This year has been probably the hardest year from a rugby context that I've faced. I think I've struggled to find time for training. I've struggled to find time to commit to rugby, and that's been difficult. But what I have realised is that I've missed there's been, I think at Dragons I've probably missed 5 or 6 sessions total my whole time there. This season I've had weeks where I've went 3 or 4 weeks with no training. And I've realised how important rugby is for my own mental fitness, switching off, and like same view, like when you play, so I think becoming a dad is you realize that I've got to be fighting fit for my daughter now, and I think just realizing like things, you just get a lot of perspective, like what matters in life.
And I do think like rugby's that, for me, when I was playing, obviously 2 knee replacements later, I'm no longer playing, but it was my escape. Obviously my missus went through breast cancer, so that was a tough year. then what was 11 months after she finished chemo, she was pregnant. So
Emotions are going up
yeah,
and
like
down.
everything was fluctuating, but always having, I was coaching at the time because my knees had given up, but just having that place to go and be away for a bit, get through a couple of hours, and then come back and reset as well. I think is really important, and that's probably why I do a bit of this as well. Out of the coaching game, but it still gives me that access. I can go away, disappear. We can have a chat to a mate, or
Yeah,
go down and watch some games, commentate games. It's that.
I think I remember when I was preparing with the UAE team before going to Pakistan a couple of years ago. Durant Gerber, who I think is one of the best coaches I've ever had, and just a top bloke, really good, like just really good lad. Durant, we had a terrible session with the UAE, like really, really, really bad. Everyone was on each other and was like having to go at each other. And Durant just stopped the session. And I remember he pointed at this white picnic table at the sevens. And he said, guys, look at that white picnic table at the side of the pitch. When we come here together, you guys take all your worries, stresses with your missus, your partners, your children, work, life. Take all those worries and stresses, leave them on that table over there, forget about them for 90 minutes. And then when you leave, either pick them up or leave them there. And that, when Du said that, that has stayed with me for a long time. And it's made me realize what is rugby. And, you know, you need times in life where you can switch off. I think becoming a dad, like I've felt the financial pressure being a dad, all of a sudden, okay, I've got to provide for the family. And I think I see with my job as a financial advisor all the time, like, you know, men are stressed with that as well. So it's important to just find something and find things in your week to week. For us, it's rugby. It's been involved in rugby where you can just turn off the pressure valve, switch off, and just you know, chew the fat or just have a bit of crack. And I think that's what rugby is for me, and it's so important. I'm sure many people watching this and listening to this, that's what rugby is for them as well.
Yeah. All right. So back to the boys' club for a second. What does a regular boys' club meetup actually look like?
Yeah. So boys' clubs, the key principle is about connecting, educating, and then empowering people to go away and improve their mental fitness. So a boys' club event typical looks like we have a panel presentation. So there'll be a theme, panel speakers. Then there'll be a keynote. People will share the story. I go into a little bit deeper about kind of my dad's story and my struggles and moderate the conversations. And then the idea is that we have the panel. Guys can just sit and watch. There's no forced sharing. And then afterwards, we have some sort of activity, gym workout. We had 5-iron golf. So the idea is keynote, presentation, panel activation, whatever it may be, with a theme, and then hang around. And that's the bit which I've realised has been so good. People ask me what's so good about this whole boys club concept. Lads just hang around afterwards and chat and have conversations. So that is the key principle really behind it.
And obviously this month being a big one, and we can tell by that thing on your lip.
Yeah, terrible.
It is November. What does this month represent for you personally?
Yeah, this month's all about, you know, so I started the boys club events, and I realized this was making a bit of a difference and impacting people, and I realized, well, you know, I need to raise awareness. So we're trying to raise a bit more money and funds. We're selling virtual moustaches this month to try and raise a bit more money to try and prolong the events. But November for me is a chance for just sharing a story, opening up, guys just having conversations and talking. And I think there's so much white noise day to day, and life's so fast paced, and people forget just to take care of the simple things and to look after yourself. So it's about sharing the message of boys club and men and mates, and just being there for each other. That's what it means to me.
Yeah. And the last one, for any bloke listening who is struggling right now, what's the very first step they can take to stop sinking?
I think my big thing would be just realize that, you know, you're in a downward spiral, and the best thing to do is not to get better or get worse. It's just to step out of it, just step to the side, just recognize how you're feeling, you know, speak to those who are close to you. In most cases, you know, get professional help. Like, I'm a big believer in pretty much all of our guest speakers on the boys club are, you know, qualified professionals. If you talk about your knees earlier, Broughy, you know, if you have a physical injury, if you break your arm, you go see a specialist, you know, and you get a second opinion or whatnot. So I think if you're really struggling, you know, seek professional help. If you're by yourself and maybe that's not an option, just step out of the spiral and just see things for what they are, and just try and change one little thing and just get better over time. If you are struggling in life, you're not going to click your fingers and be back to 100%. And I think just don't be so hard on yourself and see it for what it is.
Yeah, man, and that's a fair point. I was talking to a few lads. I was trying to get a "You All Good, Bro" type video going, but just talking to people and actually asking them. I was like, okay, can you share something you actually struggle with? With the Quins and Sharks, a few of those boys, like they were like, actually thinking about stuff that they've struggled with previously or are struggling with, just putting them on that edge. Then I was like, that's what we're here to.
I think
start opening that door and have a chat with someone. It doesn't have to be me or you, but like have that chat with one of your mates.
Normal, I mean, I've played enough rugby now across the UAE, and I know people in all the clubs, and I've got a good relationship with the guys who play against, and I think I have no problem. And Quins is a great. I always love going down to Quins. It's always good feed, and the boys are on the bar afterwards. But it's just about making it normal. Going up to one of the Quins boys and asking them, "Oh, how's life, mate? Like, anything challenging you?" But it's never ever the case. It's usually they're ranting and raving about some referee calls or what's going on and whatnot. So just about making those conversations really, really normal.
Yeah. All right. So we're going to move on now. We're going to go a little bit more towards the fun side. We've got a bit deep there. Well, not a bit deep. We did, but it was for a good purpose. So we've got serious there. Let's lighten it up. What's your best Dubai Sevens moment that you've ever had that you're comfortable admitting publicly?
Yeah, I mean, we have got a private Dragons Super Threes Instagram page where there's definitely a lot of confidential activity going on there.
It's not that private. You added me to it last year.
Okay, I have to remove you. My best Super Three or Dragons moment was beats onto Ali Hazel, our scrum half, put a box kick up, and I managed to catch it, but I did knock over a whole table of cocktails right there. So, too many to mention. Like we definitely do the. I think one thing the Dragons do best is the sevens. So, God, I couldn't even answer that, but there's a few rogue moments in there anyway.
And who's in the Dragon squad is most likely to go missing between pitch one and beats on two?
Liam Cronin, aka Homer Simpson. That guy, 1 year we found him on the Dragon's Hill crying his eyes out because he lost his phone and his wallet, and he had nothing left in his life. He had no shoes as well. So that guy's just, what a guy though, what an absolute legend of the club, but great value. But he's going to have some serious high moments and some serious lows this weekend, I think, on sevens.
What's more exhausting, a Dubai Sevens festival day or a full weekend as a girl dad?
Ask me on Monday. I'll say girl dad for now, but luckily, thank God, I've got the whole weekend off this weekend, which is a weird thing about the sevens. I don't know if anyone else has this. Like for me personally, like Georgia and my wife, like it's just a non-negotiable. Like the sevens is just 3 days where she just knows I'm gone, which I think is just the best thing about UAE. So looking forward to that. But I'll go girl dad. Flip me. Oh, no sleep.
Well, Monday will be an interesting day when we both get handed our daughters back and they're like, it's your turn. You're like, no. Yeah. All right. Worst outfit you've seen at the sevens?
Worst outfit I've seen at the sevens. Cowgirls. Hate this whole cowgirl buzz. Every year happens. I like fancy dress when it's just silly, stupid. Yeah. But that's still in my head on that every year. It's the same stuff. There seems to be a common theme where all these girls walk in for the weekend. But I'm gonna go with that.
If Dubai Sevens was stock, would you buy, sell, or hold?
Oh, buy and hold, buy and hold. Yeah.
And finally, which teammate would you trust the most to babysit at sevens if you brought the missus and child down, and who would be absolutely banned?
Teammate in the Super Threes. Yeah. Because that's a real rogue bunch of humans. I would go Lewis Anderson. That guy is just, I think, reliable guy and very good value on the beers. So I reckon he'd be able to maintain.
Plus he's just holding there, falling asleep.
Yeah, he'd probably be asleep. Yeah.
And who's absolutely banned from babysitting?
Clark Smith. That guy's terrible. He wasn't even at the seven, so the baby was by himself. But he showed up about 10:30 every day last year. Terrible form. So Clarky, he's out. Yeah, he'd be toilet.
Fair enough. All right. Next thing we're going to talk about is what the hell is happening in the UAE and
Yeah.
Asia Rugby. Obviously, the CEO, Van Ruin,
Yeah, I've
he's
seen that, yeah.
he's stepped down. Apollo, who's the CEO and head coach of the UAE, has gone. What is going on in this place?
Yeah, I know. It seems to have been a bit of, I think it's been a bit of, a bit of chaos or, a few big things. I think that, obviously AP leaving rugby or, the UAE and stepping down from it is, I think, shows how big his role has been, and it's caused a bit of an earthquake in UAE rugby. I think, firstly, I think you got to say, well done to AP. So much respect for what he's created. If I look at a very, very small scale of what, the time, effort, and energy I've put in to try and grow Dragons junior rugby, I can imagine when you do that on kind of a national level, it's remarkable.
I mean, the team has moved up 65 places in the world rankings under his leadership, so it has been very impressive.
Yeah, I think when you think about, obviously this is not a rugby country, but we've got a rugby culture in the country, so which is brilliant, and AP's obviously made an unbelievable contribution towards that. I mean, definitely I was shocked when I seen that. I was like, wow, okay, I wasn't expecting that from AP, and I think obviously it was backed up with the Asia Rugby chairman leaving as well. So I think there's definitely a feeling. I got a few messages from the different kind of directors of rugby for juniors and whatnot, and a few players. There's speculation what's going on, but I think it's like anything. It's like in my profession or any work life or any environment. When there's change to any rules, people start to get a bit nervous and panic. So I think we'll have to just wait and see what happens, and wait and see who's going to fill these roles. Is there going to be anything else? Is there anything sometimes further down the line, is there going to be more information comes out or whatnot? But there definitely seems to be a little bit of a feeling of, wow, what's going on in Asia Rugby at the minute?
Yeah,
I don't know.
It feels sudden for both of them to go so quickly. And I know that Asia Rugby is not just the UAE, but as they're kind of based out of the UAE currently, it is big news.
Yeah, no, it is. And let's see what these changes are going to bring. I've no doubt, the guys that both have left this week, and AP especially, they've done an amazing job. They've built a really strong foundation. So I think it's like anything in life. Once you build something, you got to have another team or a new voice or a new person to come in and try and take it to the next level. But yeah, real interesting time. Reading that, and I think me personally, I can't speak on behalf of you, Bruffy, or anyone else, but I think I am definitely thinking, what's going on? There's a lot of change at the same time, but I think most importantly, well done to AP for everything he's done, and Apollo for what he's done for UA Rugby. I think when you do anything in life, and the rugby culture is always, leave your position, your club, your jersey in a better place than when you found it.
Yeah.
And I think, AP's definitely done that. So hats off to him, big respect. And let's see what the future brings.
Yeah, and hopefully we do keep moving forward in the UAE. There's a lot of us out here who are quite invested in it and want the best for it. Obviously, Hong Kong's probably the Asia country we're chasing. They're the one who beat us in the for the World Cup spot. They're our targets. The way they do their sevens and spread it out to their clubs and have really good programs there. Hopefully, we start moving forward to something like that.
Yeah, I think for me, I wear a few different hats here. I've played for the UAE. I see it from a player perspective. As you play for the Dragons, I sit on the Dragons committee. I run the Dragons mini and youth. So I've got different hats on at different roles here. And I think for me, I look at what Hong Kong have done and spoke to some of the guys when I was over there playing, and I think that they're working really well as a collective. I believe, I'm not too sure on this, but it's my understanding that I believe that the directors of rugby and their clubs, I think, are paid by the union. I think, which takes a massive pressure off the clubs itself. So I think, we can sit here and criticize clubs not working harder to support, the official union, but then, I think you have to remember there's a lot of volunteers here, not-for-profit clubs. So you got to have the government funding, then clubs working together. So I can imagine with the different hats that I'm wearing and looking at it, it's difficult, but there needs to be more collaboration. And and you're right, and Hong Kong seem to do it really, really well. There's clubs feeding the national team, everyone's cohesive. Even you look at Dragons, again, you're going to look at from my lens, we've had a real issue with props. You look at, I had an issue with this a couple of years ago. You look at a lot of stereotypically the UAE clubs, props is an issue, but you always find one club's got like 6, and then one club's got 1 or 2, and I always thought to myself, well, the UAE needs to get to a position where if they really want to compete and be competitive, like players need to be across the board, need to be more competitive. Look at this season, everyone can beat everyone, yes, but again, there's always tends to be 2 or 3 teams which have a bad year, or always seems to be at least 1 or 2 teams having a rebuilding year.
Yeah.
Could we get to a position where that doesn't happen? I've been there with Dragons, and it's hard, it's difficult, and so you constantly feel like clubs are always trying to rebuild or build, but never really feels at the minute that clubs are actually here and all getting bigger and better together.
And obviously, the expat society plays a big part in that, with the toing and froing of players and coming in and coming out as well. So I mean, it is hard out here to build that like solid, because one year you could have 4 guys just all leave at the same time, and I mean, you look at Sharjah, they no longer even have a team.
Yeah.
And a few years ago they were dominant in the second league. Then they dropped down to they don't even have a team, just on guys moving away.
Yeah, but how many clubs approached Sharjah and said to them like a great club, by the way, we've both had the pleasure of being there, like, great people as well, but how many clubs went and actually offered to help, whereas most clubs in the UAE are thinking, okay, right, perfect, let's try and get 5 or 6 players from them over. So
yeah,
again, I think I haven't got the answers for these questions. All I know is that clubs need to work better together and need to understand that we all attribute towards each other, and actually, if we've got one very successful club in the UAE who are every year growing, getting bigger, but we have 5, 6 clubs which are on the breadline and struggling, is that better for us? Really, no. We want sustainable rugby. We want good rugby, and just more. My opinion would be more collaboration. I'll ask you the question: what is the common goal of the rugby clubs in the UAE?
And I couldn't tell you if there is a common goal.
Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm a director of mini and youth rugby.
Yeah.
I don't know what the common goal is together as a mini and youth. I don't know. Are we pathway participation? Are we, tournaments? The calendar's not aligned. We've recently started doing work with Kobar Rugby Club, in Saudi, try and get them more of a pathway. Like, are other clubs doing that? So, until the people who are in positions like myself take ownership and step up a bit more probably, and actually say, well, what is our shared goal? Take responsibility. What I would say, Flavs and the Rugby Educator Group, which I'm part of, I think there's definitely a feeling of us trying to do that as well. So, more collaboration, I think, is what we need.
And for me, like, we're a 7-team league in West Asia Prem, including 2 overseas teams. If you're having a bad year, like, it's such a hard year. Like, poor Doha, like, they struggle the last couple of years. They really struggle to travel with their full squad and things like that. It's a tough year, but one of my issues is, like, we have 10 teams in the league below.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sorry, but you should just be in the league at the top, and if that's your turn to lose, that's your turn to lose.
Yeah.
And not asking for promotion, relegation. Some teams get promoted and then choose to be relegated, like, without any rhyme or reason. Yes, you might be having a tougher season, but, like, look what's happened to the Tigers. They lost a few players. They had to drop down a league.
Yeah.
And they came, 5th on the ladder? I mean, they made a final, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they came like 5th or 6th in the season.
I struggle with this. Like, I think, like, I don't want to tempt fate. I think, like, I've been at Dragons now 5 seasons, and we've won the league. We've had hard years, but one thing I know the club will always stand by is they wouldn't, like, dropping down to the next league below just doesn't seem to be an option for us as a club. I think what I would say is that, I get it, it's expat rugby, and you're going to lose players, and it comes back to front row packs, whatever. What I don't think clubs should be allowed to do is bounce up and down.
Yeah.
If you want to be a Prem club and you want to play in the Premiership, like, you look at like Hurricanes and Tigers that have dropped down recently. Like, my argument would be that, fair enough, these guys, like, I'm not saying like make the right decision to drop down in the league below, but or what you do is just stay in the Prem, but your games don't count towards the season or at the end of the day, like, we've got a league where 4 teams go up and to compete for a semi-final final.
Yeah.
You can turn on in the Prem. You can turn on for 3 or 4 games post Christmas, get to semi-final and get a final. That's how we won the league. We beat Tigers. We got to the final against a good Canes team. We won it, and we were garbage the whole year.
Yeah.
So my point would be that if teams are struggling and want to drop down, well, actually, no, just keep them in the league. Those games can become uncompetitive.
And you can't recruit.
In the league. And well,
like if you were coming in and you wanted to play first grade rugby, you go, all right, I'm not playing Tigers now because they're a second grade team. So your recruitment is automatically halted.
Yeah.
Because you want to play the next level up and stuff like that. So.
I would prefer that because I'm saying like we only it's not that much competitive anyway. It's not like we've got 12, 15, 16 teams in the league.
Yeah.
So I would rather play Exiles, for example, in a year where let's say Dragons go down next year and I'm Exiles player. I would rather play Bahrain 3 times, Hurricanes 3 times, play Dragons as like a train. I don't know, it could be whatever, but they keep them in the league and maybe go uncontested scrums or. Again, clubs need to work together. I just don't get how clubs can go down, go up, go down. Like and it's frustrating because then when that club goes down into the second league, they're strong.
Yeah.
But then again, you look at like Tuskers and Shaheen this year. Like, could they? Like we played. Like I played against that the Tuskers team.
Yeah.
Like they are a good side. They are physical.
Yeah.
We played them in pre-season. We were like, right, these guys can play rugby.
And teams have already clued on because they've had 3 wins. They've only played 1 game.
Yeah.
Teams are forfeiting. We've seen there was a bit of dangerous stuff in your friendly. I've heard from the Exiles game.
Yeah.
And their Exiles team is young, especially their second team. They're full of young, up-and-coming kids, which is amazing. But they were guys getting kicked in the head and things like that.
I think it comes back to my point earlier. Like, what is our goal here for rugby as senior clubs? Then, what are we trying to do? Like, could Tuskers play in the Prem this year? The point I would make would be like, if a really strong loaded team in the league below goes and wins the league, like I remember the year I think it was at Hurricanes when they went down, were they unbeaten or something like that? Like every game was 5 bonus or 5 points. My question would be like, what does a club get in going down and doing that? Yeah. If anything, it kills it for the second teams or whatnot. So my argument would be, why can't we just work together, communicate? Like, you're not going to be competitive enough to win the Prem, but that your guys are, going to go romp the league. Like, do they really get out of it? I don't know. But I mean, again, it's looking through the wrong lens. You got to be until I'm part of the Dragons team in that position. Yeah, my opinion might change. I just think that 99% of the problems in UA rugby come from lack of collaboration and actually understanding that we need to have a common goal and grow towards it. Yeah, that's just my opinion.
All right, so you're obviously Dragons, so I'd say they'll be one of your top 4 picks. If you had to pick a top 4, who's making the semis in the West Asia Prem?
Very, very weird. I think obviously Bahrain are locked in.
They're 6 from 6.
I think, can they even mathematically?
Probably. I think we've got 8 games left, so technically yes, but
well, I mean, if you think if you look at Bahrain are going to be in there. They've got a strong team, and you look there. I think Exiles have had a hard year this year. Fair play to them. Like those boys are sticking out. It's not easy. So you kind of rule out Exiles, I'd say, at this stage. You never know. Like hopefully they go on and do well, whatever. I think Doha will struggle as well. So then I think you look at the clubs that are left. Then I do back our Dragons boys to get there. I think we've got enough quality in the squad, so I think we'll back us in there. And then you're looking at Sharks, Canes, Quins. I think it's very, very open there. I think the 2 or 3 games after Christmas, I do think there's going to be some surprises. I think Quins will go in there. I think they've got a good team this year. I think if I'm totally honest, I think Quins will be in there with Bahrain. I think it'll be between Sharks, Canes and ourselves battling out for those positions. So if you want an answer right now, I think I'll go Bahrain, Quins. I'll go Canes and Dragons. But I think Sharks have been amazing this year. I think they've really changed it around. I just think when it gets to that second half of the season, Sharks maybe have had a few good results, but maybe they'll fall off. So that's my opinion for what it's worth. Hopefully I don't get proved wrong. And then when it gets to semi-finals, it's anyone's game. Anyone's game. But yeah, I mean, let's see how it goes. What do you think right now at the halfway point? What's your thoughts?
It's definitely between those 5 teams. I think Bahrain, because of their home advantage, teams don't travel out there well. I can't see them not having top spot. They're definitely fallible. They've definitely shown in games, especially the Hurricanes game where they won because Francois missed a kick or missed 3 kicks in the game.
Yeah.
Like the Quins, they won in the last minute as well, or the last couple of minutes. They're very tight games. They're fallible away. They definitely can be beaten, but who knows? I think the Canes. I think that you guys will make it as the Dragons. I think when you guys start getting your shit together, and you and stop the lapses that the Dragons have. I find the Dragons go through lapses in games where
I agree. Yeah.
When things go wrong, they go really wrong, and the same has happened to the Quins and stuff over the years. If you guys can sort bouncing back from that a little bit quicker, you'll make it. I think it's between the Canes and the Sharks. Now the Sharks beat the Canes. The Canes just seem to. I said it at the very start of the year. I picked them to come 4th or 5th. I just think they're sleeping on last year. They won the thing. It was a bit of a surprise. They came from 4th spot or 3rd spot to win. Have 2 really good games. But at the back end of the last season, the Canes were not a great team until the 2 finals. So I think it's between them and the Sharks who comes 4th.
Yeah, I think Again, I'm being quite biased there, locking Dragons in, but I think one thing we're quite good at Dragons is that we all stick together, big bunch of mates, and I think that's what you need. You need in these, like in the second half of the season when UAE, Abu Dhabi life, Dubai life starts getting really busy, the weather's nice, and people are coming back from Christmas a little bit fat, whatever, and you need to have a group which stick together and are close. So listen, it's going to be open. There's some great players in that Canes team, some really really good players. Got a really good coaching setup there as well. So. I've no doubt Marty will be in my ear, I'm sure, when he hears potentially rolling them out. But yeah, let's see. I think whoever goes on a run after Christmas, 2 or 3 wins.
I actually think the Exiles will play a big part in who makes
massively.
it. I don't think they're going to make it, but I feel like the way they've started a few games this season, they've started really hot. They know how to score. They can do some things well. They've been missing Millsy, they've been missing like 6 or 7 guys out a lot. I think if they get all their players back, they could be a dangerous team to play at times.
Yeah, no, for sure. And I think I think Doha as well. Doha have got some brilliant players. Like the Dragons went there last year, I think, and they had their flipping head in the bin for a while, and they just they were expecting a result, didn't get it. Again, it's just. Big things about bonus points as well. I think that'll come down to bonus points, who's actually able to when they're on and they're winning, who's going to pick up. We let Doha in we switched off. We won that game and switched off, and you think
they picked up a bonus point, didn't they?
Yeah. I was thinking to myself after that Dragons game, is that going to hurt us? I think you made a really good point there. I think. Exiles will definitely come out fighting next year, and I think you never know what players land as well post Christmas. It's a really really interesting year. It'd be interesting to see. Obviously, I still don't quite understand the West Asia final and the Prem final. I was surprised last year when there was
it was not happening, and then it happened suddenly. So, but who knows if that happens?
It'll be interesting to see what that picture looks like, because you could well see the likes of a Dragons, Sharks, Canes team get to that final, but then not get into the top 4. That 15th miss out. So it'd be interesting. I could see that happening. If you take Bahrain, if you take Bahrain out of the equation, it's very hard to call who would get in that top 4. So let's see what happens. Hopefully the Dragons boys can bring it home, and hopefully I can be a bit of a part of that too.
Hey, look, if any clubs are recruiting, I hear there's a big Brazilian second rower who's moved into the country who played for Brazil just now.
Really?
He might be taking a bit of time off, but I mean, you guys have got a few. You're like, oh, please don't be Dragons. But second rows are like. He's an international player as well, so
interesting.
Clubs might be putting their hand out to old. I think his name's Ben Donald.
Can he play tight head prop?
He's definitely a lot taller than me. So
Okay. Interesting. Let's
yeah,
see.
but that'd be interesting. All right, so that's the predictions. We'll leave it there for the moment. And see
And well
what
done with
happens.
everything you're doing, mate. Loving, like I said to you, it's weird now. I see your stuff coming out, and it's a great way to follow rugby. So it's a sure thankless task what you're doing. So, fair play for all this, mate. Great setup. It's great to be here.
Thank you for being my first Dubai guest
No,
to
I'm
come
here.
to the house.
Mate, how good's Abu Dhabi, by the way? Abu Dhabi, no traffic, nice people on time. Like, had a great day working down in Abu Dhabi. So you might see me knocking on your door again to come back in for another one.
Always basically for you here, Johnny. All right, thank you very much, mate.
Cheers, bro.
Let's get it done.
Perfect.